You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. It's Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. There are ladies, things that makes it official. Welcome to the big show. As always, the Chris Voss Show is a family that loves you and tries to make you better, to be a better person. And most of you already are after listening to us for 16 years and 2,400 episodes. You know, we're almost at 2,500 episodes. Can you believe that? That's crazy, man. Anyway, we're going to be talking to a fine young man about his latest book called A Comprehensive Guide for Arranging Your Personal Affairs, out August 21st, 2023, by Howard L. Chappell, I believe it is. We're going to get into some of the details with him, his book, and all that good stuff. He is a U.S. Air Force veteran, retired educator, and author. He was born in Dodgeville, Wisconsin. He served during the Korean War in Okinawa and at the Strategic Air Command in Omaha, Nebraska. Following his military service, he pursued a career in education, teaching in Guam and Panama. He held various positions, including high school principal, professor, and chairman of the Department of Education at Missouri State University at Springfield, Missouri. Him and his wife, Katsy, have traveled extensively through the Far East, Middle East, Europe, Central, and South America with their 2 children. They currently reside in Sun City West, Arizona. Welcome to the show. How are you, Harold? Harold?
Yes.
How are you, my friend?
Harold, I thought you said Howard before. I don't know, but it's Harold, yeah.
Pretty
But
sure I
it's
got
okay.
Howard. There you go. So, Harold, give us your .coms. Where can people find out more about you on the interwebs?
Well, I could tell you some things. Other people might tell you something else. I don't know what they would say.
Do you have a .com? Do you have
I
a
would
.com
say,
for a website for your book?
maybe just background on my childhood and so on.
Well, let's get to that in a
okay.
second, if you don't mind. So, Harold, I was asking, do you have a specific website for your book, a .com, a website to promote
No,
your
I
book?
do not.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, people can go to Amazon and they can order up your book. So, Harold, give us a 30,000 overview of what's inside your book, A Comprehensive Guide for Arranging Your Personal Affairs.
Well, I don't know if you want first why I wrote it or maybe to that.
Whichever
but,
order you want to go in. Give us the why then.
Well, let me do that. Let me start from the start, and
Sure.
maybe you'll have a better idea about me. I was a 3-year-old. My father and mother had a farm, and I had 2 sisters. One 3 years longer than I, and another one 6 years older. My father was injured in a situation where he was injured very, very difficultly, and I don't want to go at it anymore. And
Sure.
ultimately died. Went in the hospital, had a blood clot, and died.
Oh,
And,
no.
and my mother was a farm girl, but had a high school education at that time. And so he was left with 3 children, a 3-year-old, a 6-year-old, and an 8-year-old. The farm.
Mhm.
And I think about that and say, how would I feel if I were left in that situation as a female and that? So my mother uh, actually had a high school education, as I said, and she ran for county treasurer and 2-year period, and I think that was 14 to 16 times she was reelected every 2 years. That's
Oh,
what
wow.
really saved us. And if I looked at that, did she have something done like this if she lost her husband? And the answer was obviously no. She wouldn't have had anything like that. So then it goes to what do I do? And then it was okay, sell the farm, the town, ran for county treasurer, and was elected, and that's what kept us above board as young children. And
Awesome.
I'm very dedicated to her and what she did. She has passed away, and yet she just did a good job for me and my sisters.
There you go. So what's inside the book? Give us an overview of what the book is about and what's inside.
Well, it has 28 chapters, and I won't. Well, no, actually 35. I won't go into everything, but the executor of your estate. You need to have somebody that would do that, and then would do exactly what you laid out as what you want done. This goes to that. Maybe this car goes to son-in-law or whatever. Do you have a will? She didn't. Power of attorney? No. Last will and testament? No, she didn't have that. And obviously she didn't have the obituary. So that is part of it, but it goes for special persons to be notified, the celebration of life, items that need to be canceled, items that like insurance, as simple as a newspaper. You got a paper, no longer nobody's there. Stock holdings. And that was probably not a whole thing for them at that particular but because it was during the Depression. I was born in 1933. So the Depression was on at that time. And so it was items to be canceled. What about insurance? A financial advisor who's going to be the executor of your estate, an attorney you have, who's your tax advisor, and any businesses you have or properties you have, any individuals that you owe money to that owe it to you. All of this is laid out. So and selecting an attorney, again, that would be one that you'd want somebody that knows a lot about how to handle that, losing an individual. If you own a business property, that needs to be sold probably, and so that's what happened, the farm. And then do you have credit cards? Do you have individuals that you owe money to, and others that owe money to you? And so that who's your tax person, and what businesses do you have? What type of ownership do you have in a house? Is there other buildings that you own? All of that is laid out. So I could be the executor of your estate, carry out exactly what you wanted done.
Yeah.
So that's really the context of this book.
There you go. There you go. And so this is really important because if people don't plan, they kind of leave just this whole nightmare. They kind of leave this whole nightmare behind of the people who have to clean up, right?
Well, let's say it was you and me, and you come to me and say, "Hey, your dad owed me $1,000." And the other side is going to say, "Well, do you have any proof of that?" And and so on.
Yeah.
Well, that's another part of it, that not only people that owe you something or you promised them, or vice versa. But they're supposed to get these things from, be a piano, it might be whatever. So that would be laid out, and there wouldn't be any arguing about it. It's laid out and said, this is what I want done, and get done that way by the executor of your estate. So it covers that. And do you have any business associates or other properties you own or debts, uh, credit card that has to be shut down, and so on. So um, it forces the family to know exactly what the deceased wants done and what needs to be done. You don't want somebody calling and saying, your dad owed me $15,000. Oh yeah, do you have some proof of that? Well, no. But that what
Yeah.
it keeps that from happening.
I imagine too, there might be, I've had family scuffles in the mortgage company that we had. When people die, they're trying to figure out who or what inherits who. And, sometimes you have that, the one sibling comes forward and said, well, Dad made a will and I've got a copy here. He promised me half of everything, and it's like an outdated will or something. And so, then the other siblings like, no, that's not what's in the final will. And they squabble over it and, all that stuff that goes on. So it's one way to prevent a lot of confusion, because sometimes there's, multiple wills that get cut over time.
Confusion, and then angry
Anger,
about they lied about this or did that and so on. When it's written down and there it is, you just say, hey, here it is. It says this, and this. That's what we're doing. So. So anyhow, it took me a while from age 3 of worrying a little bit about what's going to happen to us and take care of us and dad, son, and so on. But later in life, I looked at that and thought, I don't really have this done myself.
Yeah.
Why am I seated here now and saying, I think I need to kind of lay out some things: who gets the money, who gets the house, who gets the cars, who owes me money, and who do I owe money to? All of that there. And when you put that in there, there's no question about it. Here it is on page 37. It says this, and this, and that's it.
And that's it. And so you've laid yours out and you've written this book on how to help people do theirs and get it all going on. And what are some common mistakes that you see people make when they're preparing their affairs or when they're trying to get all this done? And how does your book help them in that?
Well, I don't know yet, because it's been slow getting publicized, because I had some previous people that I worked with that didn't think it was satisfactory. But I see it as the possibility not only for individuals to buy, but for organizations to buy, such as funeral directors. I go to them if I'm selling the books, and I go to them and say, I'd like to have these books, and they say, well, why would I want it? Because you can present them one of my books that you own and say, listen, I want to have your burial information and all of that, and I'll do that, but I want you to use me, and I'm going to give you this book. You can lay out everything, and then I will do everything that you have said on here that you want done.
Well, there you go. There you go. So people can get into it with the book. They can learn how to do it. They can give it as a gift to maybe a loved one or for themselves, to get their personal affairs. What do you think is the most surprising, overlooked aspect of personal affairs that you address in your book?
Well, that they never laid out anything about what they want to happen at their demise. Have a funeral director already, because we go back to that. Funeral directors would be individuals who would take a $25 book, and I go in and say, well, I'm looking to have a funeral director and so on. well, look, here it is. I'll lay this out. It lays out for you what you need to do. I'll give you this book. It's for $25.
Mm-hmm.
And the answer, I guess, is uh, I would be making maybe $250,000 by people doing it that way. And the funeral director then gets the job, and he's getting paid 25 grand or something like that for a
Mm-hmm.
$25 investment in the book.
Yeah. There you go. So, do you market this towards funeral directors then, or how does this work?
Well, I think that's just one group.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm a funeral director and I have a book and somebody comes in and says, I'm looking to get things kind of settled because I'm now 85 years old or something like that. And then with that, it would seem that the funeral director gets 25 grand for a $25 investment.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess my my final rights and lowered into the ground.
Mm.
I think everybody needs this. It just it negates any arguments among family members that, well, he said this and all that. Just take this, you won't have any arguments after your demise. Done. You've got maybe burial monies that you've spent that take care of it. You don't have to do anything other than go to the burial ground. They'll say, "Here's how we're going to do it," and we'll take care of it.
Yeah.
So just the survivors, it takes the pressure off of them, and
Mm-hmm.
it leads to not individuals arguing about what dad wanted me to have this car. He told me that, you know. So it negates all that and keeps it out of there.
What sort of where do usually people you advise them they begin the process of planning their personal affairs? Where's a good starting point for them?
Well, I was a teacher overseas and then an administrator and so on. Um, oh, I brought it when I had a kid whose one of the parents died, and there was a father, and his father did not have anything laid out. The mother got in a big argument with his brother-in-law or brother or whatever it is, and he was just disappointed in the family arguing about what's supposed to be done here. So that kind of
Mm-hmm.
pushed me to, the kid was just kind of roughed up, because his mother was getting ground by other relatives that they said, well, he promised me this or that or whatever. So that was part of it, along with going back to thinking about my mother.
Yeah.
It
It sounds like that had quite an impact on you.
yes, it has, yeah.
Yeah.
I
What what
yeah.
were some of the emotional ramifications of that? Do did you feel insecure? You feel lost? What was it like to go through that experience emotionally?
Well, I think, most people came in a little different, on a emotions, but once I got through talking to them, the feeling got clearer and said, "Okay, fine, if I do this, take the book, uh, I have it, and I'm gonna fill the thing out, I've done that," and so that negates any arguing or anything. Grandpa gave me the golf cart.
Mhm.
No, there's nothing in here that says that. But so it takes that out of any family arguments about what I wanted done or the individual wanted done.
Mhm. There you go. The good handy advice, this is something people have to. What do you say to people who are afraid to think about this stuff? They're afraid to, well, I don't want to think about my death. What do you say to people who put that off because they just want to save for another
After I
day?
talk to them, or I've talked to you, then they
Mhm.
see the value of it and say, hey, yeah, I'll take one.
What role does communication with family members play in the process of arranging their personal affairs?
I'm not certain I understand the question.
So did you set forth in the book about how to communicate to your family members, your loved ones, what your intentions are? Like my mother keeps a special folder of all of her stuff that I'm supposed to check into if anything were to happen to her, God forbid.
Yeah. I don't
You know,
actually, yeah, I don't actually go into that because I think families would tell their kids, here's what we're doing. And
mhm,
selected Joe to be the leader on this and be the executor of the estate. And these are the things that we've said that we are concerned about and we've done and money we owed and the newspaper who delivers it and cancels the phone, all of that. That is going to be in here where you go and you think about if you total three brothers and three sisters say, well, I wanted to do that. Think how easy this is for one person to go to those individuals and say, hey, here's what my folks want. And so it should negate any arguments really.
mm,
And that happens a lot, I think, in that. And that would be that this is what mother and dad wanted, so let's get it done.
mhm. There you go. There you go. With the book, um, what advice you'd give to someone who is thinking they're too young, maybe? Like, well, I'm in my 20s. I don't need to think about death and prepare for death.
I think you run into that quite a bit. Maybe in the 40s, they're easier than the
Mhm.
20 years old is less interested in it. I think corporations uh, can uh, I would say a corporation who would have this book, and when anyone finished and said, I'm resigning and so on, you gave them that book. Said, we appreciate what you've done for us. You work well, you're honest and above ground and on time and all of that. And this is
Mhm.
a present to you. And then I think you can go back to a 25-year-old who's married and had three kids and so on. But he then knows what directives the parents want taken and how
Mhm.
it's going to be done. And he doesn't have to go through that and try to figure all of it out. I know what
Yeah.
they want. I'll follow their directions instead of me trying to think, what burial unit are we going to use? What about the cars? There are three cars. You've got
Mhm.
an airplane. Who gets this? So
Yeah.
it's all taken care of.
Yeah. I tell I have in my will that only certain people get the plane, but I don't own a plane, so I'm just fucking with them. They're gonna spend the rest of their lives trying to figure out where the plane was.
By the way, a lot of planes coming in from West Coast to Phoenix
Uh-huh.
have, I think, like three crashes on them
Oh, really? Wow.
last weekend.
That's crazy.
And
What's going on there?
yeah, and
Yeah.
I suspect probably none of those people have that laid forth. And
That's a good point. There you go.
yeah,
There was just the Indian airliner, sadly today, I think 240-ish people, one survivor, went
oh
down
really?
from going
Yeah,
from India to things. Things happen in life. I think a lot of times we kind of con ourselves. I know I do a little bit too, where they go, we go, hey man, I'll probably have some advance notice. I'll probably get declining health and stuff. And all that good stuff. So yeah, the yeah, that's the big picture. So fun is fun. What do you hope people come away with on your book? What do you hope that they see and come away with?
Well, the attitude pretty much is, I wish I had thought of this before on that. I never, I just figured that, when we're gone there, they will figure out what to do. That's not going to work. So for that older age group, you can sit back, relax, and say, "Hey," and go over it with the kids before this is what we're going to do, and relax and not have to worry about any arguments that might come about by virtue of at our demise. Um, what's the argument's going to be if we don't lay this down?
Okay.
I just think it is something that every family has to should do, and it gives a peace with the family. I think about we know exactly when my parents die, this is what's going to happen. I get this, you get the airplane, he gets the horses, and whatever it is. So that's why I think it will sell.
There you go. Well, that's what we'll do with the book. We'll put it up for sale there on the podcast and tell people to take and buy it. Any further thoughts as we go out? Anything we missed?
Well, have you seen the sections on this?
I haven't. No.
Each section?
No. Can you tell us about it?
It's pretty, selecting an attorney. Most people do not have an attorney until they have to have one. It's better to have one that you can go into, you're going to get in there and he knows what your situation is, and that would be helpful. So I don't care if you're 21 years old, probably ought to have an attorney because at some point you may need one real quick because of some violation or so on.
Yeah.
Do you have residential ownership of other houses and so on? So what about who gets that? Who takes it over? Do you sell it or so on? I'm facing that right now, and the area in which I it's going to about 400,000 a house.
Wow.
And so if they know approximately what the house is worth and so on, then the children who are the executors or whatever don't get sliced by some skimmer who comes in and says, "Hey, I think your place is at least 200,000, So that forces them to not only cover themselves that way, but to get all these other things covered. Who gets a car? Who gets the airplane? What about the horses and the dog and the this and that? So I could do it for you. If you had all that, I could do it for you. And I don't really know you, but I would know what you want done. And I'd find out who the individual is that you want to give the airplane to or whatever. So it's almost a no loser. A very positive thing that one can do to make things very well or orderly at your demise.
There you go. Well, it's been wonderful to have you on the show. We certainly appreciate it. Thank you for coming on and sharing all the great details with us.
I appreciate that. You asked some good questions, and I hope I resolve the answers to you. But
there you go.
You for that. Yeah.
I think we got it. So there you go. Well, thank you very much, Harold, for coming on the show. Folks, order up his book wherever fine books are sold. It's called A Comprehensive Guide for Arranging Your Personal Affairs, out August 21st, 2023. Thanks to our audience for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1 on the TikTokity, and all those crazy places in it. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you next time.